Valorant recently had its 1-year anniversary, and to celebrate that, they released a new cinematic trailer which focused on lore. Now, I always liked the lore videos, they were a big fan of them in Overwatch, and I think they work really well here, but this one was a little bit different. This one coincided with the announcement that Valorant is now moving to mobile. Now, mobile FPS have never really been my thing, but Call of Duty Mobile has done very well for Activision. It did so well, in fact, that Apex has also announced their move over there, so it's not really surprising that Valorant has decided to, especially when their aesthetic is almost built for low-end computers, and that works really well in the mobile space. Now, the interesting thing about the cinematic and the mobile launch is they seem to be trying to use both of them to explain everything that happens in the game, something which Overwatch never managed to do. It even goes on to explain the setup of the matches. One of the characters themselves has a scene where they meet one of their mirror characters, and just the complete shock and surprise that you would have in that situation, to the point where he almost died if one of his teammates wouldn't have saved his life. Now, this seems a little unrealistic to me. As everyone knows in Valorant, there's never a situation where one of your teammates will ever save your life. But it's definitely an interesting story and situation, and it seems, just in my speculation, that they're going to use the mobile launch to explain this mirror universe that you've got. So the mobile game will almost be a different dimension to the PC and console version, which is definitely an interesting spin to explain what happens when two teams of identical people meet on the battlefield. But apart from that, it was just an announcement and a cinematic trailer. There was no gameplay as such and no specifics, so we're still not sure exactly what it will look like on the mobile space, but it was interesting all the same. On to the next story. Can you remember that time when Among Us seemed to be played by literally everybody? Well, welcome back, because, well, the last hype spike was definitely caused by streamers and YouTubers that seemed to get together and just brute force all of their viewers into the game. This was a little bit more unusual. For those that don't know, the Epic Games Store had the Among Us game free for a weekend, and, well, the normal player base was actually very, very active. Even after all of these streamers had stopped playing the game, it remained at 350,000 active players on a weekend, and we get these figures from Victoria Tran, the Among Us director, who's shown us the figures for a normal weekend, and then the free Epic Games Store weekend. Yep, you can actually see that the graphs peaked around 2 million concurrent players. Now, the great thing about this is literally just a homegrown spike in users. This was a pent-up demand that no one really knew was there that was met by an infinite supply. And developers really should be paying attention, because all of these players can go on to purchase DLC. And yet, so yes, you lose a very small amount of an old game's entry fee, but people are a hell of a lot more likely to buy DLC if they're actually playing the game. So it just goes to show, if you really want to be successful, the key is just to put your game in front of as many people as possible. And if it's a good product, people want it. Sniper Elite VR has released a new release date trailer with the game coming on July 8th. Now, first impressions, the gameplay looks great, and shooting people with pistols or hammering in the back of the face is always good fun. The problem I have with the game is that a core part of it is the use of rifles to snipe with, and in other games, rifles in VR they've really been a mixed bag. You see, as in VR, the controllers are one-handed each, and a rifle obviously connects both hands together, but you just don't get this feedback in real life, and this can lead to all kinds of misalignment issues as you try to aim. Now, a game can obviously smooth this out, and they can just lock your hands together and try and take some kind of average between them and reduce the sway, so you don't get that kind of wavy aim. The problem that comes with this is that now your real-life hands aren't where you see them in VR, and obviously the main attraction of VR is the immersion. It is that you feel like you're actually there. So although the game looks good, and games of this sort are definitely on my street, I'm just really hoping that they nailed some kind of solution to this, or at least come to the best bodge they can. Now, this is obviously going to be a major issue for any VR game. It's certainly not limited to Sniper Elite VR. It'd just be nice if one of these companies, where it was the core focus of their game, came out with some kind of linked controller. You know, all you need is a solid block between the two controllers, and it would make it feel far better. We used to have these kind of games for Mario Kart and everything else, where it would turn your controllers into a steering wheel, and I really don't see why you can't just come up with some kind of cheap, as long as it doesn't block any of the sensors, method of locking the controllers together, and at least giving you something to hold as you look down the barrel of the scope. It'd certainly be a major improvement, and even if it didn't look particularly good in real life, you're not going to see it in gaming anyway, and it would definitely increase the immersion factor. We've just had the Warhammer Skulls Xbox event, which showcases all the current and upcoming Warhammer content for video games. That started with Vermintide 2 and its DLC Sister of the Thorn. It's out now on PC and will be coming to consoles on June 30th. It focuses on Corilla and her new magic powers and their recently released Chaos Waste expansion, which is essentially the roguelite mode for Vermintide 2. This was a large expansion and was good for new players especially, as it allowed them to get into the game and more advanced enemies without actually needing to worry about their gear as much. Next, Fat Shark showed off Darktide, which is like Vermintide 2 but set in the 40k universe. It should be very familiar for any players of Vermintide and focuses on the familiar 4-player co-op style against hordes of enemies with a sort of melee ranged mix of combat. This time they're focusing on the human element of 40k, as they're a lot more vulnerable, and it makes the whole experience a bit more of a survival horror style of game. It will be set in the city of Tertium, which is a hive city about the size of a continent. While it will feature the gameplay of Vermintide, it should hopefully in this new environment provide some much needed variety to the series. Necromunda Hired Gun. This was a new game just released on the 31st of May. And it's currently receiving mostly positive reviews at about 72% positive. So if this is up your street as an indie FPS shooter, then I would definitely look into a full review of it before I made a purchase. There was a Blood Bowl 3 trailer which featured new footage of the Elven race, which is coming to the game. It features improved graphics and animations alongside some board game rule updates from the previous Blood Bowl 2, with rules such as passing and jumping over prone players being added or with their rule sets changed for the game. Then there's Warhammer Battle Sector, which is coming on July the 15th. They announced that the Sisters of Battle will be joining the Blood Angels in the game, and they feature everything from frag grenades to jump pack. Now, I don't know much about this developer, but their last game was Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, which received very positive reviews on the original game and most of their DLC. Now, as CD Projekt Red has proved, past performance doesn't always guarantee future quality, but at least this is a good baseline to start off with. And finally, we've got Shooters Blood and Teeth. Yes, that's pronounced how it's spelt. This isn't due until 2022, but it seems sort of a bit of a co-op bullet hell style of 2D shooter. Now, they're clearly committing to the orc memes and the marketing, but if they can translate that into the gameplay, it should altogether be a fun little 2D shoot-'em-up. If you're interested in any of the Warhammer games, they're currently having a 75% off sale, so if you've had your eye on any Warhammer stuff and you really want to pick it up, now's the time. I believe the sale lasts till the 10th, so you've got a few days yet. Sony have announced that they will continue to release some of their PlayStation exclusive titles onto PC, like they did with Horizon Zero Dawn or Days Gone. They've said that they're never going to release them on PC at launch. This, to me, is a really bizarre stance to have, because PC and console aren't and never have been in competition. They don't share the same group of people. They're not the same demographics. Each side prefers their platform of choice for very different reasons, which are individual to them, and that's fine. I just think very few PC players will actually buy a console specifically just to play one game. I mean, the last game that I can think that was that massive that people would have maybe bought a console to play was The Last of Us 2. And quite frankly, if I'd bought a PlayStation just to play The Last of Us 2, I would have been in tears. Now, Sony have said that they will continue to look at the release date and adjust it as they think is necessary, but at the moment, the release time between exclusive to PC platforms seems to be about 2 years. Now, PC Gamer says that the sales figures show that it doesn't dampen the enthusiasm for gamers, and Hulsk in the article says that there's just no good case for Sony moving to simultaneous launches on console and PC. So let me give you one. Although the sales figures might be nice, don't you think they would have been higher at launch, when all the hype was there, all the marketing budget was there, YouTubers were playing it, making videos for it, streamers were playing it, and everyone they knew, all their friends, were talking about it. I just can't agree that exactly the same number of people would buy it 2 years later, when they already know the game, they know the story, they've seen everyone play it, they've seen all the videos, and that was 2 years ago, and all of their excitement has died. And when the games are launched on PC, there isn't some big marketing campaign. No one really cares. And I say this from personal experience. Now, yes, some of that will be made up by some people buying a console. I just don't think the numbers add up. But PC Gamer, rather than trying to explain away how all of your viewers, all of your customers, are very willing to accept a two-tiered system. Yeah, they'll wait 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It doesn't matter. They'll buy anything. You could instead try and join the other side of the argument. You could advocate for the people who you want viewing your magazine. I mean, I could be missing something major. I could be an idiot. But to me, it just seems obvious that the side that you should be on is right at the top of your website in your name. And finally, what's on the screen is the E3 schedule for this year. Now, I'm not going to read it out. I'll leave it up for you to read at your leisure. Now, E3 is meant to start on the 12th and end on the 15th, but some developers have kind of cleverly, in my opinion, decided that they're going to do their own little press conferences earlier so that they can avoid the just sheer spam of all the gaming news and get theirs out with a bit of special attention earlier. So we'll have some news coming in from the 5th all the way to the 15th, with EA Play being separate on the 22nd. Now, that's a lot of gaming news coming out in a short period of time, but you can guarantee that all the biggest stories will be getting covered here. And if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and the bell so you can be notified for more videos in the future. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.